Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Printing's Alive with me, your host. You know who I am. Today is actually probably one of the more important podcasts of the 71 that I've so far uploaded. Although they're all important, I don't want to play any of them down, but this reason this one's up and important is I got a couple of young fellas with me. I got Bryce and Blake with me, and they're from the NextGen Leaders Society. I had to look down and read that. I didn't want to make a mistake. And why is it so important? Because these are the beginning of two young people who care about print, want to be in print, and they want to cover all aspects of print. It's not about any one thing. Their main mission, from what I'm walking away after talking to them, is young people. That means people with lots of hair, colored hair, not no hair, and certainly not gray hair. But let's just get into it. And welcome, guys. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Warren.
Cool. Let's start off with, why don't you guys just tell me a little bit about each of you and why you decided to, embark on this journey?
Sure. I'll start off. Yeah. Blake Peterson. I work with the Foil and Specialty Effects Association, FSCA, family business. I work for my parents. Been in the print industry for about almost coming up on 6 years now since I started working for them. This is definitely a very important mission for me with the NextGen Leaders Society, getting more involved in the association, learning the family business, but also all the conferences, the trade shows I go to. Me and Bryce and maybe, a few other young people that are, around our age. And then, it's all the older generation. So, trying to get more young people excited about this industry. The ones that we have here, get them to stay in the industry. I think it's an important aspect. And just, we're excited to kind of get this mission going.
Cool.
Yeah, so my story is very similar. I'm in a family business as well. I'm in North Carolina, and I primarily manufacture foil and specialty effects. So we are a trade vendor that kind of works with a lot of printers. So it's great for me because I get to hear from a wide range of printing companies and get to see how they're doing, industry trends, who's busy, who's not, what's going on, what equipment's being bought, things like that. But again, the reason that we want to be a part of this group, we want to get more young people involved, is a lot of the young people that are involved have the same story as Blake and I. Dad was in it or mom was in it, and there's not enough people that said, I saw that print was really exciting and decided to choose a print career path at my university or something like that. So we're hoping to share our love for print, share our successes in print, talk about all the cool things that are happening in the future and where it's going. There's so many positives, and bring that to the table to hopefully recruit some more folks and build a community of young folks that can kind of share our stories and grow together and reshape kind of what we're doing in print. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think that's amazing, just because I've always thought I've always said it, and it is. Print is the greatest industry in the world. It's the biggest industry in the world as far as I'm concerned. Why is it the biggest? Because without print, there's no other industry that operates, right? They need instructions, manuals. They need emergency exit signs. They need to know how to get out. They need to know how to make something when you buy it. Everything comes in a package. Everything has some flash on it. So I think it's really, really cool. When you talk to your friends, I'm used to sit around with all my friends and we talk about what we do. When you tell your friends that you're involved in print, do they have anything to say? A question?
Well, I think print gets a bad stigma because our generation, to them, print's dying. Nobody reads print anymore. But my friends and people that aren't in the industry don't understand how vast the print industry is in terms of all the packaging on the shelves. And like you said, everything's printed. And people don't look at it that way. They just think print, it's a magazine. Oh, that's lame. I don't want to be I want to be in an industry that prints, that is printing books, or they don't understand how cool print is, how much you can do, especially on the embellishment side of things. So yeah, my friends definitely are kind of like, isn't that industry dying? Like, that's what you do. And for me, we publish magazines. That's our main job outside of the association. We also, my family owns a publishing company. So we publish magazines in many different industries, and so when they hear that's what you do, they always are kind of just give you a little side look, like, how are you guys still in business? But
when I talk to my friends about print, they think I do two things. They think I either make T-shirts or pamphlets, and so it's so funny because I'll be like, I'm in printing, and then a couple months go by, and they're like, Hey, my company needs 20 T-shirts. Can you do it? I'm like, well, that's not exactly what I do, but I guess I can figure out a way to make that happen.
Well, you could call me because I make T-shirts.
Oh, okay, yeah, there we go.
You
we
go
get
to the
nothing else out of the call. I at least know where to get T-shirts now.
Well, actually, go to the printwhisper.shop because you could buy some I Love Embellishment T-shirts.
Okay.
Or Touch Me, I'm Embellished. That's a good one. You just got to watch who's wearing it, right?
That's right.
But it's good. Well, you know what? You can now point out to your friends that when they buy their Apple phones, they come in really nice printed boxes. When the ladies go out to buy their cosmetics at Sephora, all the embellishment on them is what you guys are doing and supplying. So I think
absolutely.
I think we have to get a little messaging out there for young people to like look at print and notice print, or we have to market and advertise it a little better. But it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're primarily in the packaging space, and so that is typically what I go to, right? Your pharmaceutical packaging, or like you said, your cosmetic, all those pretty boxes you see at, I used to say malls, but I don't even know where they really see them now. But anyways, yeah, I mean, that's where most people recognize it, is that pretty Colgate toothpaste box or that Clinique box or things like that. People kind of remember those things. And it's interesting that they do remember that, right? That or the Apple box. You say that right away and people know exactly what you're talking about. It shows the power of print.
Right. And I'll just one more, then we'll move on. But
yeah,
Curtis Packaging in Connecticut, I think it's 70 years plus that they've been producing the Titleist golf ball boxes.
Yep.
They've built presses, specific 13 colors, units, upside down, around and about, and whatever, top secrets. I can't tell you because I don't know. And then they do all the embellishments. And then, so all the guys out there that are buying Titleist golf balls are buying them because they're being attracted to the shelf by all the shine. So remind your golf buddies.
That's right.
That's where it is. So where did this come from? The NextGen Society. Who came up with the idea? Just fill me in.
Maybe you tell that story, Bryce, because it really came from Bryce and his stepfather Steven's on the board of FSCA, and Bryce had just kind of gone through starting a young group in the Carolinas with his PICA group. So I think Bryce will kind of let you tell that story because that's
we did it regionally. We tried the experiment regionally through an organization called PICA, which is Printing Industries of the Carolinas, and I got to chair that board and kind of it had a lot of success. I mean, we just got a lot of young people involved, and it was a great way for us to get everyone else that's been in the industry for a long time out of the room, and we could drive the conversation. And I always tell the success stories that we had with it, and it's something that we shared with Blake and Jeff, and thought with FSCA's reach on a national scale, and also in the more of the specialty effects industry, which, where I'm very passionate about, it was a great opportunity for us to try it again on a little bit larger scale. So,
and did you have a particular problem in mind when you were sitting down and discussing this?
I think
Blake touched on that. Yeah. You go back to your example of Blake and I kept going to the conferences and looking for somebody else that looked remotely like us and close to age. And it's just hard to find. There's 3 or 4 of us, and we're both in family businesses that we hope to keep going for a long time. And we are realizing that how are we going to survive in 10, 15, 20 years? And we need to make sure that we're working towards that. So, Blake, I'll let you kind of add to it. But
yeah, I think that, like Bryce said, just going to these shows and seeing that there's not a whole lot of people our age. I think that was, an important thing is we want to get, and kind of going back to what we spoke about and making, as Kevin Abergett would say, making print sexy, selling to the younger generation that maybe not in the industry yet, that print is cool. There's so many, print's not just your book on the shelf. Print is all that cool packaging and the shiny gold, the foil, and print is in everything that we do and buy and see every day, and that there is a career in this industry. Many different career paths you could take, from finance to sales to running a machine. There's a lot of different things that can be attractive to the young generation that we hope that we can share with them and show them, through
And
the
where I think
screen.
it'll take like young people who grew up in a generation of social media, and we understand more than any other generation, our generation, right? What is attracting people to go into other industries? What do people our age love to do? How do they consume things? How do they buy? They buy in the ways that we buy. And so we need to create people who are already here to understand the culture, to have dialogue, and to figure out how to recruit and retain and sell the things that our industry does. And we can't do that without using our minds. Or the consumer is only getting younger to us. And so I think it's really important that we're the ones that are driving that future.
So this is where I make notes and then I go off course, never to come back to them. But let me ask you point blank, what are some of the outright issues you see in the industry that some of the young people are facing?
Bryce, I'll let you start with that one. I'm on the outside looking in, looking for the association. You're in it every day, so that's probably a better question for you.
I'll start you off. Old people.
Yeah, I think that's a great spot. And just, I think as a whole, a workforce, aging workforce, not a lot of people that are coming, especially, we're in manufacturing. So on the manufacturing side, what I've seen in the last 8 years is everybody's getting older. We have 1 or 2 or 3 new faces that, are sub 40, but I need to replace 50, 60 employees over the next 10 to 12 years. And so 3 people, well, and then that's the other conversation is, well, if I'm not going to be able to get 40 people, how do I buy technology? Do I invest? Like, do you start using AI? Do you start buying equipment that requires less people? You start to have that conversation of how do I turn a plant that's used to running with 50 or 60 people into a plant that's going to run with 12? That's a, or whatever that number is. Aging workforce is a big problem.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I just touch on the AI. AI to me, it's just a tool in the toolbox, right?
Exactly.
So everybody's got to jump on it and have some use. But so if I were to start some of the problems that I see, old people, and old people. and I say that because and by the way, I'm not getting any younger myself, I'm just looking better as I get older. But I remember going to a couple conferences. One in particular I was speaking at, and I get up and there's 300 people in the room, and I don't know what possessed me to say it, but sometimes I get possessed. And I'm standing there and I stop talking and I look around and I go, why are all you old people here? Where are all the young people in your company? And I get half the room, shh, and the other half is cracking up, right? Half wants to kill me, the other half laughing. And my point was this to them: you're here, you're an owner, that's great, but you're not listening to anything just about that goes on at the show. You're talking to who you want to talk to. You're seeing what you want to see, but you're not really absorbing a whole lot more. The reason you want to bring young people is one, maybe threefold. I don't know how far I can count or how many things I have to say about it. But you bring a young person, the first thing you're doing is you're letting them know you care and you're interested. So right away, they feel good about that, and they appreciate the fact that they're being acknowledged for being an individual in the room, so to speak, right? Then when you bring them, you are also educating them. You're giving them the opportunity to learn, see, and grow, just like you would your children. Because to me, kids are kids. I mean, my own are my own, but all kids need to learn, right? And then one of the biggest benefits of bringing a young person to a show is when they go back to the office, they will tell every single person what they saw, what they learned, and what a good time they had. I promise you that most owners that go to a show go back and don't say a fucking word to anybody about anything.
I completely agree. Yep. No, I think, yeah. No, well, I think you nailed it on the head. That's part of our group, and is trying to get these companies. Part of our recruiting process is not just recruiting the young people, but recruiting the owners and the VPs and the individuals of these companies to say, hey, you need to let these young people get involved in this, in this printing world, outside of just the office, outside of their job. Give them a community somewhere they can go and voice their opinion, not just to their boss, who probably most of them are scared of. And that's where they can voice their opinion and have, feedback from other individuals in their same situation. And then at the shows, telling them that, hey, you need to bring some of these young people to the shows with you, like you just mentioned. All it does is reinforce, the owner's commitment to that young individual that works with them. Maintaining those young people is an important aspect. And I know we have our conference in Nashville coming up next month, and we already have 5 or 6 young individuals that have signed up to come to the show that I know otherwise wouldn't. So this group's already making a small difference, and hopefully we continue to make that difference.
I think, Warren, change is so tough. You talk about these old owners, they've been coming to those shows and hanging out with their buddies at the bar for 20 to 30 years. How are we going to convince them any different? Right? I mean, that's just what they do. They know in September I go to the show. I meet up with my 2 buddies that are across the country, and we get together and chat and talk about old times, right? And so how do you create change with somebody that's like that, that's had such a long tradition of doing something that way? And so what the young group does is, one, it creates a clear path. Okay, wow, there's something for these young individuals to do. And it's the awareness of, okay, there's young people here and they have something to do. But it also creates a dynamic of, Joe over there, he brought a young person to the show. And he's a competitor of mine, and he's got a 30-year-old working for him that seems really sharp. He's well-dressed. He's talking to people. He's meeting all these guys. I don't have somebody doing that. And so it almost creates a competitive nature where they start to see, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a competitor. It could be just a different company, right? That has young people, that seems like they have energy, that seems like they have a future. And they're going back to their home base going, either 1, I don't have one of those people, or 2, the people that I do have need to start taking that leadership position. And so that's kind of the angle that we are attempting to play, creating change slowly.
Yes. I mean, if we talk about change, I'm just, my mind is just going on different things that need to be changed or things that we could do, because everything should be small. Well, shouldn't be small and subtle, but we're a slow moving industry. Like, oh my God, for as fast as technology moves is as slow as we move, right? I think that we have to be talking about this industry and getting away from what people think it was. These hands never got dirty because they never wanted to. And I wasn't a guy that worked in the back with the inker stuff. But today, you don't get dirty in print, right? All the machines have their built-in toners. The offset presses have, ink cans still, but a lot of them have inking systems with the canisters. You go to the folding, the old days, you used to have to fold the paper and put it in the clips to get your thickness of how big your folds were going to be, or the paper. Now it's a push button with 200 presets for 7 different weights of paper or board. So we are a technology industry that we don't talk about. The front of an offset press, go to the front of a new KBA, and you got a video game going on. Connect the cylinders, or watch the wash up, or make fun, or call it whatever you want. But we have we actually have more excitement, I think, going on in our industry than in a lot of other industries. And it doesn't matter if you want to be in the front office, if you want to be selling, or you want to be in the plant. There's a lot of exciting things that could be done. So I just don't know why we don't promote it. You mentioned social media. Another thought I had was, owners, pick out the young people in your company and ask them to do social media posts. Ask them to do things in the place that are exciting, that go around. Pay them something. Who cares? It's peanuts. But that's what they do, right? Another big one. You want to attract young people, fix your damn website.
Yeah.
What is wrong? What is wrong? Like, if you're going to invite people, or you're going to have companies come in or that want to sponsor the group, you have to have a pre-checklist that, like, you visit them. If they don't meet the criteria of attracting a young person, you can't let them in until they do.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And it's not to be exclusive like that. It's to say, get your shit together. It's enough talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? When I had the company, I would make business cards for every employee. Why? I mean, if they didn't have a company email, they didn't get an email address, and I didn't put their Gmail on, but they had the company phone number, fax machine, website, and their name and position, and something to give out. Friends, family, they hear someone talking about print somewhere, right?
Feel involved.
It's all about the involvement. I mean, of the people that you have working with you, obviously if they're working with you, other members, they love print, but what are some of the ideas that you guys have come up with to attract young people?
We are still working on that. We're very new. We just launched officially about 3 weeks ago. And so, that's going to be part of our conversations as we get going, with our group as a whole is, how do we attract more young people? What are the ways that we can, because, one of the goals is going to be maintaining the people that are already in the industry, that are the young, but that's a lot easier, given a community that we're trying to set up. But how do we go out to universities, which is going to be probably the main place to find people that are, just coming out of college, what are they going to do? How do we get the word out there that this is an attractive industry? That's certainly going to be a big part of the conversations we have moving forward.
Okay, you just said colleges. That's okay. But there's a whole lot of people that don't go to college because they can't make it through, or they can't sit through, or they find teachers and professors boring.
Great point.
That was me. Sorry. I went to school.
That's a great point.
I went to school just to make dates and listen to some music.
Yeah.
No, but so I think, I think we should be thinking about where else could we reach out to people. There's, if not schools, there's trade associations for other industry. But I think we need to, I've seen where I am in the past, like the Dairy Association has gone out and made big commercials and to promote milk and cows and all that stuff because it's the association. I don't think people need to be reminded to drink milk and that, cheese is available. But I always wanted to bring big dream to try to bring everyone in the industry together and come up with some messaging that everybody would play back in all languages all over the world the same. Right?
Well, I think other industries, and I mentioned this earlier in kind of in our conversations, but if you think of like a finance job or an accounting job, or even being in medicine or being in insurance, like none of those are sexy, glamorous jobs, but they've done a good job of selling lifestyle. We don't sell lifestyle. We don't just have to sell. We have really cool print technology, and here's the specs of the press, and this is exactly what you could be doing every day. They're selling the lifestyle that comes with that industry. And I do think, to your point, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, with the technology, we do have video game like opportunities out here, right? Like, I mean, some of these presses are like, it's a challenge. I mean, we have the new digital embellishment technology, and from the file setup to running the press to figuring out the foil and the heat. And I mean, it's a game of complex problems that you're constantly getting to be involved with every day. We're not just selling press operator. This is not press operator. This is not, put your gloves on and leave with, ink all over your shirt. That's not the game anymore. And so that's exactly what we have to sell is both the lifestyle of the really cool things, the cool places, the cool businesses and companies you get to work with. The large companies, the small family owned companies that are all of our customers that we get to work with every day. That in itself, the travel, the different industry markets that are served, domestically and internationally, and all the there's so many parts of print that we don't even talk about, that we don't sell, that are fun. And that's how we have to tie the really cool things about what we do with the young people who can get this messaging out there. We got to stop having 60-year-olds target and message young people and figure out they're not, this conversation is decades old. This is not, you ask Blake the conversation that has been stumping people for decades. How does print get younger? Well, the wrong people have been talking about it for decades. Now we finally have the people who understand how to solve the problem. We need to make sure they have a seat at the table, that they're not being told by their boss how to handle it, that they're being given the social media accounts and they have free reign, right? They have some say. And so anyways, sorry to kind of get a little into that point, but that's exactly it. That conversation is what can actually change
keep
this industry.
going, keep
Yeah.
going. No, I couldn't agree more with you. It's really, I guess I'm at the point where I'm just sick and tired of all the same fucking bullshit talk over and over again, and the same. You know what? I'll give you another example. I was talking, and I'm not mentioning names because I'm not out to hurt anybody yet, but I'll be back. No, so designer reaches out to me and talking about embellishment, because I've been talking about some embellishment, and I'm talking about I love it. I'm also talking about it's not for everybody, but we have to properly educate and learn, because I always speak on behalf of the printer who has to put the money out and bite the bullet. And this one designer called me up and wanted to talk about embellishment. And I said, great. And we're chatting, and he goes, your industry's a mess. And I'm like, what are you talking about, you dumbass designer? Because we all no, I didn't say that. I just thought it. My brother's a designer, so I'm allowed to joke. And I said, what's up? And he says, well, I didn't learn design in school, and I've been at design a while, and I want to learn about embellishments. He goes, and I reached out to a few companies that sell paper, samples, foils, whatever, spoke to a couple of people. He goes, it took them 2 months to get me samples. I will tell you honestly, first I invited him to come on my podcast because I want him to talk about that out loud, because I want everyone to hear. And I was actually sad. I was sad for us as an industry, because when you get a call from someone that you've been trying so hard to reach out to, and they ask you for some samples and you don't put them in the mail within 24 hours, shame on you. But then he's also starting to believe, maybe it's not so real. Because who created all this embellishment stuff? Manufacturers, right? He's saying, why have design and all the embellishment, have you not gone to designers first? And I have to tell you that I agree with that. I even did a poll recently, and most people are saying designers first. But the reason I tell you, and that I would suggest designers really need to be bombarded with learning, is when I was selling print and I would go to see the brands, and we were doing embellishments and we were doing all that fine stuff, because I was a high-end quality printer, not just price, service, and delivery, just service and price. Charge you for it, because you got to pay for your kids' college one day. But right, and you go out and just, oh my God, nothing happens with the stuff. And I would go out and I would go to see the brands, and I would suggest all this nice stuff, and the brands would look at me and they go, you're just a printer. The designer would come in from the agency. They would suggest the embellishment. They would suggest using Sappy's #1 paper. They would suggest going to a 5th color. They would suggest adding on some varnishes. And you know what the brand says? Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is most of the time. So for the OEM world or the embellishment world, trying to teach printers how to design, totally don't agree with it. Yes, we need to know how. Yes, designers should. But if we're going to go to the quickest way to money, we got to go to the real designers that work with the brands directly, if we want to have an instant, reaction coming back. The other thing is, leadership in these companies have to be involved. So when you bring young people in, they've got to be there to introduce themselves. They've got to be there to welcome them. They've got to be there to let them know that we are embracing them and that we want them there.
They have to be good leaders. Is that what you're saying, Ward?
I'm sorry.
I think that should be one of the definitive terms for leadership. Yeah, but yeah, you're exactly right.
Right. If I'm going,
and I want to share a story too of on the opposite side. So you shared kind of a negative story where the supplier or the manufacturer of the equipment did not fulfill their end of the obligation. But we have, a lot of what we do is hot foil stamping, and we have manufacturers of foil. And not to plug Crown Foil, it's actually somebody we don't use them a lot actually, but they sent out, not to all the people who do hot foil stamping, but to all the printers And all the designers, they sent out their foil catalog. They spent $200-300 on these nice boxes that showed all their colors, and they sent it out everywhere. Hot foil stamping is not a hard process to explain. It's just pretty foil on a sheet, right? But they sent out all these beautiful samples. It's been 15 years since they did that. I still have people to this day that will call and they will spec a crown foil. We don't use crown foil. We've never heard this customer of ours has never used crown foil. But why? Because they have this book that was sent out to the correct person. And that is still part of the conversation to this day because they hit the right consumer. They hit the person that was making the decisions or driving the decisions with their marketing campaign. They didn't send me the hot foil book. I know all the colors. Why are they selling me on all the colors? I don't need this, right? They sold the people that needed to see it. And so it can work is my point. It can work if you do it the right way.
But you have to, the OEMs a lot of times come to the ideas when it's already like too late in and they're panicking, right? Xerox with their CMYK Plus, it's a few years they came out with all that stuff in the inventory they're sitting with, and they misjudged how they should go out and sell it, right? And then some would say, oh, the reps didn't sell it because they weren't compensated and this and that. And to me, that's just all nonsense conversation, right? It should all start with at the beginning. And yeah, they don't send you samples because everyone coming to you already knows what they want, right? The design's done, the print is done. It's done early on. We have to care more. More people have to show that they care more. The older people, listen, it's only normal. You get a little older, you're doing it for 20, 30 years, you get a little tired, you drag your feet a little, right? Very few people have the same energy and the same,
maybe passion. Yeah.
The passion is there, but the body could only move so fast, right? There's more things in the head. There's different place in life, etc. But you got to be able to pass on the torch a little. You have to have mentor programs within your company, right? Too many companies have let people within the company run the company when there's that leadership thing again, right? If I was ever going in to consult a company, I didn't want to do it unless the owner was always there. Because if the owner's there, right, it's showing everybody else, and then everybody else is stepping up. If the owner's not there, well, he's not here. How's he going to know, right? You have to, I think companies have to work with the people within their company to talk about the young, to engage with them, and to look for other young. I don't know how many owners actually sit down and talk to their kids that are of the age that we want to talk to those people to find out what they're thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure there's many owners and companies that have thought about this problem, and hopefully this group maybe will give them a reason to do something about it. Hopefully we can, get them to start thinking, and if we, can get this group to grow and get enough people involved that other companies and people, they're going to say, hey, we need to have someone involved in this group as well. And hopefully that gets that conversation going within their company about what are the next steps here? How do we continue to get younger and get more of these young people involved in leadership roles?
Yeah, I mean, listen, life is about leadership, right? You have to take a stand sometimes. Even if you don't want to be a leader, you have to understand it because you want to follow, right? Some people want to lead, some people want to follow, some people want to have the ideas. It's pretty cool. I also think we can't look at schools anymore because the schools are changing, and then the schools are teaching different things as well. So even on a social media, we have to figure out as a group, as an industry, how could we promote clips all over the world about fun print and, interesting. I just did a podcast, I think it's out today actually, with this young girl, Sheila, from, she's at Toronto University, or I don't know what they call the university anymore. They keep changing the names, but check her out. You want to get her on to speak. She's a student, second year, and she's just out everywhere she goes promoting print. She's going to print shops because she's learning. And my favorite show on TV is how they make that, right? Golf balls, water bottles, who cares? Because we all use everything and we don't know how it's made. Maybe shops should be doing more videos on how things are made. No one really has an idea. Nothing takes a day, right? If you show people and they touch and they feel, then there's a little more excitement, right? Maybe. Sorry, no, I was
just saying that's a great point. And before I got in this industry, just walking through Walmart and all the cosmetic, toothpaste boxes and everything. You don't even look at, you don't even think about it. But then now that being in an industry and knowing all that has gone into just that Colgate toothpaste box with the shiny foil on top, like it changes how you think about things. If we can get more people to understand how much goes into it and how cool the processes are, I think that can really help, attract some more people to this industry. Because I know that's the biggest thing for me. Before I started working for my parents, I never looked, but now every single box I see on the shelf, I go over and look and say, is this cold foil? Is this hot stamp? Like, I'm interested in it now, and I think it's cool. It's a cool thing, and we need to get that story out there for individuals that aren't in the industry.
Yeah, so I don't normally show video on like while we're doing this, but all this brought up something that my daughter had done a while ago, and I did not know. I'm just looking for it, so I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I did not know. I'm going to play it because. So my daughter did this, and when she was talking about it, blew me away because what it told me is my kids listen. And sorry, I'm stalling because I'm looking because I shouldn't have done this. Where is she? Okay. Hang on. Okay, so I'm going to just see if I could share this. I've never done this before, so we're going to see if this works. Also share audio system. Okay, so this is my daughter. I see this video posted that she did. So let's hear, watch. Do you hear that?
And this Hot Pot seasoning caught our eye. It has some spot UV gloss varnishing. It was very distinguishable, and it caught our eye over all of the other Hot Pot seasonings due to the glossiness. So much packaging, so much gloss, varnish, embellishments. Very important, as my dad teaches me every single time we go to a store together. I think I'm gonna get this one. Even though I don't like mushrooms, it looks good. Hi.
Like, I didn't even know she was doing that. And then she sent it to me, and I'm howling. First of all, as a parent, I couldn't have been prouder.
Of course. Yeah.
Right? But
super cool.
I mean that means to all you parents out there, whether you know it or not, your kids do listen. They just have selective hearing.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I have an almost 3-year-old, so selective hearing would be a great way to put it. Yeah.
But that tells me, though, that, she's listening. She's a buyer of a lot of consumer product. So I get feedback. And now after that, I knew that I can now ask her questions about what does she see? What does she like? And even print. And, she tells me that she's picking up more books now because she's tired of her screen, which I think we're hearing a lot lately.
Yep.
Right? You sit on your screen all day at work, and it's hard at home to go home. And even if you want to do something pleasurable, it's like you can't sit there anymore. Right? So it's like, it's just the kids. I think we have to have contests to engage with the kids and make them want to do things. It's so where would you like to see this association going? Like how big, how far?
As big as we can make it. I mean, we have a national reach with FSCA. We have members all across the country, internationally, up in Canada, and we have some members in Mexico. So I think the goal is to make this as big as we can. We're just getting started, so we're still on the ground floor trying to build this thing up. But our conference next month in Nashville is going to be our first in-person event with this group. We have a reception, some programming specific to our NextGen group. So we're hoping that kind of helps launch it, and the individuals that are in our group that are going to be there can hopefully be excited about the group and be excited about print, and then hopefully we can have some other companies that don't have a young person there say, hey, we need to get somebody involved in this group. So yeah, I mean, Bryce, I don't know if you have any
yeah, I mean, I think that obviously outreach is important. We want to have as many people that want to be involved, and some people that don't even know they want to be involved. We want to teach them why they need to be involved. But I think the second part of that, and maybe the most important part, is we want to have contributors, whether you're a decision maker at the company that you're at, or you're just somebody who's really interested in the future of print. This is not a group where you just add this to your resume. This is not just a, hey, I'm going to fill out an application and never speak again. Part of our bylaws is that you have to be active within the group to stay a part of the group. It's very important that
Cool.
even if they don't have the opportunity to speak up at their workplace, they have the opportunity, and it's mandatory to speak up in our group, right? You have to contribute to be a part of it. We need from, if you're a graphic designer at your company, if you're a pre-press, if you're an operator, if you're in sales, if you're VP, if you own the company, we need every perspective to help solve these problems. And that's we're really searching for people who are going to contribute to the overall growth and success of print in this group. So
I love that idea. I think I'm just sitting and thinking, obviously always thinking, but like you could reach out to, the association members and ask them to designate one young person from their company and and then maybe you handpick some of the companies that you like to ask first, because you do have to set up a good foundation, right? Going forward. Are you guys going to set up a website? Because I didn't see a website.
Yeah, I don't know. I think are we going to do that, Blake?
We are. We have.
Of course you are.
We have. Yes, we have a website, but it's through FSCA. It's not our own website right now, but websites cost money, so that's part of our good websites. We don't want to. We want to make, when we do it, we're going to do it right. So we're not going to do a GoDaddy.com. We're going to do a good website.
Get this. I bet you within your young group of the people that you'd like to connect with, that there's a few people in there that are very capable of doing websites, and maybe you engage with them so that they could start to build the footprint with you.
Good idea.
I'm a big proponent of the youth, and I'm not of the old people, even though I'm getting up there, as I said before. So I'm going to always encourage everything, but as many young people as you can put together to take charge of it and to have a say and to have ownership of the project will only propel you forward. And it then becomes the voice of young people within the industry, right? I was talking to somebody, a young person in an association, and they had their own association within the association for young people. And as he was preparing, or she was preparing what they were doing, the head of the association comes up and says, hey, be sure to go to our designer so the branding matches. No, we don't want to be like the old people. We don't want to match branding. We want our own branding. I'm talking like I'm part of your group, by the way.
Sure.
But like it's called independence.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Right? I agree.
Not about insulting old people, but what I notice with old people, including me, is as we get older, although we're not as old as our parents were at this age, the fact is we have to face the fact that we're getting older, and we got to make way and let some of the younger people speak. So some of us are better at it than others, and the others should be reminded in a nice way, of course.
Absolutely.
Always in a nice way, right? I'll give you another thought of something that happened where take it in your thinking, right? Because you're talking to old people, and this is a disconnect. So I go to a company, talk about sales. I'm sitting with all the people. Before I go, I go look up all the salespeople on LinkedIn, right? To see what they're doing, how they're set up, because it's important that we market ourselves properly. Anyways, I go and I'm blown away. All these people, their LinkedIn pages are awful. There's nothing written. The contact is no phone number. The contact is their Gmail. So it's like, if I see Gmail on your LinkedIn, I think you're looking for a job, because why wouldn't you have your company email so someone can get you the minute they're thinking? Because we all know that we all have the attention span of peas, and if we don't get something right away, we move on. I mean, I'm not a scientist, or I didn't come up with that. I just know it from my own ADHD. But I go in there and we're talking, and first thing I say to them is, I don't think you people are salespeople, because they're all older and they're all calling on young people, but they haven't figured out that they have to make themselves look good to attract the young people, right? So put some good info up on your site, make it attractive, put your contact, make it easy. Don't act like the old school person. And they are. So
we have a nice LinkedIn page we've created. So we have that down at least for our group. But yeah, the website, we're that's in the plans for sure to create. And it looks nice right now. The website does look nice. It's just it's not its own site. It's a tab that you go into through FSCA's website, but it will be its own site. It will be its own site.
Check this out. I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to send you a link to a website called Ad Legends. Go on there. You could build all of your creative, all of your strategy. You could work to build your website, and it's like using an ad agency. It was made by actually Steve Metcalf, who used to be AMS Solutions, the UV company in print.
Yeah.
And they're basically helping companies take out the big agencies. So you get some wicked creative thinking. I'll send you the link, and some branding, and you get the minds of all these great agency people.
Right? Okay. Sounds great.
And we could even speak to Steve after and see if he could do a solid and help you guys out if you so choose to use some of the stuff. And I'm sure he would, but it's incredible. It's awesome. It's really a worthwhile operation. Everything you do, I think, it just has to be young, right? And if I could just, one word of advice, don't let the old people influence you. They're in the situation they're in for a reason, right?
Yep. Yeah, we've got pretty much free reign from Jeff and FSCA to kind of run this on our own, and we've made our own set of bylaws, and we're a branch of FSCA, but we're operating pretty much independently, decision making wise, and all that. So we hope we can make this group something important for the industry, and something that people are going to want to be a part of.
Well, I think you guys will do a great job. Right. I think with the right messaging and a great team out there, and you got to keep the social going and the post going. I hope the Printing Uniteds and the What They Thinks and all the other chapters out there and associations will give you the time of day and help to promote what you're doing. Because a lot of them, that's another problem. Every association, every chapter thinks they're fighting for themselves, and everything's being done, but nothing's being done.
Right.
So so I think that's pretty cool. So just tell me a little bit more about the conference that's coming up.
Yeah, we got our print embellishment conference coming up in Nashville, June 17th through 19th. We have the first day, which is the 17th, is a Wednesday. We have for NextGen specifically, we have in that afternoon, I think it's about 3:30. We have a round, or like an open discussion, and the title is recruiting young generation, how to recruit more people into the industry. Bryce will be moderating that session, and we hope to have, of course, young people there, but we also hope to have the owners, and the presidents and the older generation there, to hopefully they can learn a few things about what we're looking for, what our generation looks for in a job, and in ways that they can hopefully attract some more people to their company, young people to their company. And then Thursday, the 18th, is a full day of programming, topics all over the embellishment field. From we have trading card specific topics, we have a bunch of different programming focused on embellishing. And then on the 19th, the last day, which is Friday, we have a plant tour of BindTech, one of our FSCA members there in Nashville. So that's the gist. And then I forgot to mention, after the round, or the open discussion on Wednesday, we have a NextGen reception for our group.
Cool.
There's a pretty cool little pool area. It's like a poolside, open area by the pool, where we actually have just got a live music. We got a guy that's going to come play the guitar and sing, and so we're excited about that. So it'll be our first NextGen in-person event. Of course, we just launched. So, but yeah, that's the general gist of the conference coming up in Nashville. So hopefully we can anybody that's listening, please look, Print Embellishment Conference. We have a website, and you can use the code. If you're under 40, you can use the code NextGen in all lowercase, and you can get a nice discount on your registration. I think it's $275 with that code. So,
and the conference does have a really good split. I've been it multiple times. It has a great split of printers and manufacturers, your trade vendors, whatever it is, but people who are actually putting print on paper or embellishment on paper, they're up there speaking, right? Yep. So there is a lot of moderated discussion that really involves people sharing their specific story. And then we do have a balance of some new technologies and things like that are being released, and trends and things of that nature. But really good conference where you get to hear a mix of opinions between all the different facets of our industry. So,
Well, I'll tell you, I've never been to a bad show before in print.
yeah.
Some might have more people, some might have less. I've never had a bad show. I've always walked away learning something. I've always encouraging people to go to every show or any show they can for a couple of reasons. One, to show us are strong as an industry, and statistically we stand up there having the bodies there. Two, you get to see old friends, you get to make new friends, but more importantly, you get to learn and see new things. And if you can go to a show and take one thing back to your shop that you could do, right, then it was worth it. And for anyone's thinking they should want to bring a young person, it's not too late. And just remember, you make more mistakes and lose more money in a day than it would cost to bring a person. Right? Wasted time
That's
on
right.
the press, on the folder, somebody cut something wrong, paper's upside down, too much for shipping, whatever. So if you bring a person, it's an investment. It's not a loss. It's an investment. See, we need to get people thinking about the investment.
And investing in your employees is one of the best ways to make sure they stay. A lot more expensive to lose an employee and train a new one than it is to bring them to a show.
Yeah, I hope you're going to video record or something some of your sessions so that you could use for clips after.
Yes, sir. Yeah, all of our sessions will be recorded. Yep, for sure.
Awesome. So, wow. Okay, so I obviously have more stuff that I can go on about, but I won't. We'll save it for another one. Super thrilled, to have you guys on. Anything you guys want to end with, or message you want to leave?
Actually, I feel like we covered a lot. I think we got.
Yeah, print's exciting. We have a future. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Is like, let's stop being negative. We are young people who are having a lot of success in this industry, who are seeing new projects come in the door daily, who are having really positive conversations about brands that are getting behind new embellishment techniques. They're trying new print techniques. They're launching campaigns. They understand the value of print, and that's the things that we need to be focused on. So, just we got a lot of exciting stuff, and we want to keep the conversation going. That's the biggest thing, is people keep talking about this stuff, keep talking about print, keep encouraging others, younger people, to join the conversation. And I think we're going to have a bright future. So
Print's not going anywhere anytime soon.
I'm laughing because when I said anything you guys want to add, and Blake's like, well, I think we got it all. I knew Bryce had something to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. I love it. Yeah. So first of all, kudos, congratulations, and best of luck. And if there's anything that I could do to help encourage youth for you, let me know. Kudos for taking this step and taking it upon yourself to build up a sector that so many people need some help in. So,
well, Warren, the youth are listening, like your daughter. So keep having young people on the show, whether it's us or whomever, right? Like, I think that's vitally important. Pick people out. You know what?
I'm good with that. I'm always looking. If you should come across any young folks that have a story, something worthwhile that people need to hear, reach out to me, and I'll gladly have them on.
Great.
And
that's all we can ask.
Yeah. Oh, listen, it's an easy ask. It isn't so much fun with old people all the time, especially when some of them don't remember what they're saying, like me. But it's all good. So again, thank you so much for everything you guys are doing. Really appreciate your time this morning. To everybody listening, I sure hope you listen. If you did listen, tell someone else to listen. Share it. Send it to if you're not the boss, send it to your boss. Make him listen. Make him sit there and listen with you. We got to get these old people, to loosen up a little bit and, pass on some of the reign. And we'll leave that at that. So if anyone has any topics they want to hear, anything they want to know, feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, Warren Werbitt, printing's alive, and I'll speak for the three of us. We fucking love print.
That's right. Thanks for having us, Warren.
Yeah, thanks, Warren. Really appreciate it.